Hello, my name is BD Erickson, and I'm the CEO and a power systems engineer for a company called Satic, known for making clean power products. Our guest today is Mr. Brian Johnson, CEO of Senergy360. And we met some time ago because we are kindred spirits. And he is an expert in biohacking. And what I love about him is he melded, if you will, the biohacking with home building and engineering.
Yeah.
I'm not just biohacking myself. I want to biohack the space so that those two things can work together for a better outcome. And if you guys know static and our stuff, boy, I could not possibly align more. So, Ryan, give us a minute.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us about Synergy 360. Here.
Absolutely, BD man, and we're kind of hosting each other on this whole gig. So awesome introduction and opener for me. Hey everyone, Brian with Synergy 360 and BD. That was perfect. That's exactly what I did. I melded the biohack. At the time I was big into the biohacking, so I called it merging the biohacking world into home building, right?
Yeah.
And this is going to be a real fun story. So now I've refined it in like health and wellness and longevity, and because a lot of people, some people mainstream too don't know what biohacking is. So when we speak to like health and wellness and longevity, now we're grabbing the audience, even though a lot of biohacking by default goes into that, especially if that's kind of our background. And anyway, so that's exactly, as my pitch and my approach to sharing with somebody, well, hey, what's a healthy home? Well, it's a home built for longevity using, non-toxic building materials. We're really focused on, healthy environments, getting into, even with the EMF aspect, I want to be able to speak to everybody.
Yeah.
So I just don't come out guns a-blazing right into the EMF. It's kind of knowing your crowd. But I talk about like, hey, it's very more sophisticated electrical systems, and we're using modern day low voltage systems with security systems and water filtration systems. And so what I do is I just paint this really big picture of like, wow, that sounds pretty high tech. What is that? And then I really go in there and I kind of start breaking it down for the clients of what these all mean. And actually, too, just to kind of share a little bit, thank you for that intro too, as far as like our connection and what we bring together in the industry. And by the way, your portfolio, your resume, and your background, and a lot of engineers that I speak with, you have a really impressive background, in what you do, and you put out an amazing product. Diving deep into the building biology world, you get to meet a lot of amazing people, and you get to meet engineers, and all shapes and sizes of everybody in the industry, right? And of course, me marrying the whole biohacking thing, and this is where I'm going to tie this piece into kind of where I'm at today, was, on the biohack journey, it's always trying to understand and find these modalities and how we're going to incorporate them. And then getting into the building biology and getting into that science, you meet all these different people. And what was so funny is, I would say, I know you guys been in business for what, since 2008, for a long time,
You nailed
right?
it. Long time.
Yeah.
Life for me. Life.
And man, you were just so far ahead of your time, because they weren't even really talking about EMFs until, I don't know, to me the term hit me around 2015, or
Okay.
so
That's still pretty early. You're
right,
still a
right.
pretty early adopter at that point.
Yeah, and but it was kind of woo woo and kind of like,
Yeah.
ooh, what's this whole EMF thing? And and what was one of the first products that I was turned on to was this Satic filters.
Okay.
The plug-in filters, and it was like, oh yeah, this is, but early on people just said, oh, it just reduces EMF. Like, it was nothing, like, no specific, didn't even really understand, and in the
Right.
industry, a lot of people, you just, not really kind of doing the deep understanding and research, a lot, some, and I'm not saying this is how the whole market was, but for me, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to build, I'm going to live in it, before I went back to building. So I took a break between building from 2008 to about 2016. I kind of took this pause maybe a little bit later. Synergy 360, excuse me, was born in 2018. that was because I took my background of building, I took that biohacking, and then I put it together, and then started building my spec home in 29 my spec homes in 2019. But again, kind of like these different modalities, people are, the portable air filters, or
Yeah.
the blue blocker, light bulbs, and the
Yeah.
Satic filters, right? Like that was a
Yeah.
thing. And and
Yeah.
and so kind of it was interesting. So really doing the deep dive, and then working with like engineers that I met through the building biology, and then here building biology is really promoting Satic. There and some other manufacturers too as
Yeah.
well. And I was like, oh yeah, Satic filters, yeah. I'd like to learn more, about these, even through the building biology. And so the building biology recognizes Satic as a gold standard and really promotes your guys' product. And of course, I know you know this because they had different building biologists, specialists building these different, boards with all kinds of different filters and testing. They called it the octopus board or
Yeah,
something.
they've done a lot of quality. I didn't know that they thought that highly of us. Actually, you're giving me some compliments right now that I didn't know that I had coming. But I do see the reports. And
Yes.
stuff does usually perform very well near the top, if not the top, on the
Yeah.
studies they give to me. So that's a wonderful compliment.
Yeah, no, and the studies were pretty elaborate too. Like,
Yeah,
I
they were.
mean, because I took their course, they have three courses, and one was called the EMRS, Electromagnetic Radiation Specialist.
Okay.
And it's like an intense course, right? Like,
Yeah.
and even in part of the course, they were giving data like on all these different companies, and we'll go into this. I know we're kind of leaving cliffhanger, like, oh, what is this? But it was like they're giving all this data and this input on the reduction of dirty electricity, harmonics and line noise, and the effects from outside sources to inside sources, and what your filters against the competitor filters are doing. They had your documentation that they were handing out to like students in the EMRS course.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they really did. And so
Wow.
so I walked away, and it was kind of cool, right? Because here I didn't really have an understanding other than I plug in the filter, I test the meter, I see a reduction, I'm lowering the EMF,
Yeah.
not even really knowing exactly what I'm lowering. And this is going to
Yeah.
be a great segue, because I think this is perfect, because even myself, I like to hear it from you. Exactly. Okay, we've got this broad term of EMF.
Right.
And some people don't really kind of understand the specific categories of that. And then we have this filter, static filter, whole house filters, plug-in filters,
Yeah.
and what are we treating, and why, and so maybe you could kind of just share back with me, even for our audience, of that, now that
Yeah.
we've kind of really honed down. Okay, we're talking about EMFs. What are we reducing? What are all these amazing numbers and engineers at building biology? What are they talking about?
So I'll answer that in two chunks. I'll respond with some of the things that I really love about your content. I have a tendency to get technical, and I don't ever want to be preachy,
Yep.
but I believe what I believe strongly. And so I come off as pretty passionate, and people don't want to be spoken at. They want to be spoken with.
Yep. Yep.
And when I watch your content, you're conversational. The footage is pretty raw, which leads to genuinity, I feel.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
even a
you.
word I just admitted. It feels genuine, right? But it's also technical. You're well spoken, you understand the concepts that you're speaking about, and then you've got some pretty complex meters to demonstrate it. And so
Yeah.
just as a viewer, that content resonates with me. I don't like the really overproduced stuff. I don't want someone talking at me. And I like it when people say, this is what I have found. This is what I feel. This is what I believe. You don't need to think it. You don't need to believe it. You don't need to feel it. You're wherever you are on your journey. I mean, we're all that I'm going to say all, be careful saying all or never. The vast majority of people that I know believe a lot differently and a lot of new things that
Oh yeah.
we just didn't 5 years ago. Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that you do, I think, is just so pragmatic. Clean air. Well, who doesn't want clean air? Because even going back to Jimmy Carter, we wanted to clean the air, and you don't want to stand by the bus and the big diesel cloud hit you. It's so common. We want clean air. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to do a good air filter. Check that box.
Jimmy Carter was definitely onto something, man.
Man, he was, and so
He
I
was an
want to
amazing
do
man.
that. I don't.
But
I'm never gonna,
what he was doing and the legacy that he continued way beyond the presidency, the guy was just a for humanity.
oh my
He
goodness!
was
So
a
I
builder.
remember
He was a craftsman. He was an amazing man.
an amazing man and a country boy,
Yeah.
and I'm a country boy, and he. I remember him saying I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I lived in Helena, Montana, and I remember watching on the TV Americans. We got a band together. We got to turn off lights. We got to drive 55. And as a little boy, a good little boy, I was in. I wanted to help the country. I wanted my dad to drive 55 and I would turn off lights and I wasn't in the room. It landed on me. And I think because at some level, all healthy people, we want to be a good custodian. Now that's different than going climate change or, be a hippie and you're living in Oregon and you're composting your hair.
Yeah.
That's one level of it. But
The
other
extremes.
level is, right? The other level is if I'm enjoying a camping trip in Glacier Park, would I leave my garbage? Never. If we're rafting the Clark Fork River and a can falls out, which they occasionally do, it's
Yep.
all hands on deck to fish it out.
Yep. Grab it.
Another can, you fish it out. And so you don't have to be a climate activist to
Yep.
just naturally be a good custodian. And I think most of us,
Leave no trace.
you want to be a good custodian.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You want to be. And so I think that's a very natural thing. And so what comes to mind for me is clean water, clean air, clean electricity, clean views. You can get into clean laundry. I mean, I think these are pretty simple, pragmatic things that if given our choice, given our druthers, we would all choose the better for ourselves. But somebody has to do it. Somebody has to kind of lead the path, show you a path, and make it kind of easy. And what we've done for dirty electricity is
I like how you're setting this up too for filtering, right? Because we're filtering air, we filter water, and now we're filtering electricity. I use this analogy all the time. So yeah, this is cool. Keep going.
that's exactly what it is. You're just also filtering it. Everything has a frequency and a vibration and an electromagnetic field. Well, the earth does, of course it does. It's Schumann frequency and it's healing. Right. So they talk about grounding. Well, grounding is a couple of things. It's not just that free change of electrons through bare feet. It's also vibrating at Schumann. Talk about water. I talk about water all the time because if you're, read Imamoto and his stuff, believe it or not, when you have surface water, it's getting hit with 5G all day. The idea that that wouldn't impact its frequency is naive.
Yeah.
It's also conductor, right? You don't stand in a puddle while you do your electrical system. It's versus well water at 200 feet vibrating at Schumann.
Yeah.
Right? And so what we say very simply is just because you can't see magnetism, everyone that's played with magnets, they're fantastic. I don't care if you're 5 or 55, they're awesome. And you feel the middle of it and they push away in this magnetic force. And so you not being able to smell it, hear it, see it, taste it, doesn't make it unreal.
Yeah.
It's what the Bible calls self-evident.
Yeah.
It's beyond contestation. It simply is self-evident. It is what it is. And so if the EMFs, if our frequency and everything is frequency, vibration, and sound, this, right? That don't you want that too? If it's going to be permeating your home,
yes,
you're going to put your head right by it at night. You're going to put your head right by those wires. You don't want those in good vibration. Of course you do.
They're harmless, man. You don't see anything except for an outlet, right? You brought up, I like that, with Dr. Emoto's work, being exposed to like frequencies and 5Gs, like, that's water. Are we not 80% water,
Yeah. Until they chemtrail you with aluminum.
Yeah.
And now I'm water and I'm breathing aluminum. Now I'm a superconductor. That's highly intentional. And I'll be careful on what I say to some degree. But when you ingest something that resides in you, and we all know we need a heavy metal detox. Why? Because they're in us. And if I really am a water being, which is a conductor, adding aluminum and adding to metal, that will impact negative harmonics, frequencies, vibrations on my, because they will start to shake at that vibration. That's what antennas do.
Yep. Yeah, no, well, we'll get into the dirty electricity part, but I'll share this is why I'm building bubbles,
Okay.
because, there's that one space that, where's the one place that we want to be able to go to not so much hide, but to be that safe haven,
Yeah.
sleep, to restore,
Rejuvenate.
rejuvenate, to rehabilitate, and to get back to a place of homeostasis. And
Yeah.
that is our home.
Yeah.
And that's why, me as a builder, that's the big focus is, people are like, yeah, but you go outside and, we don't, not even getting into chemtrails or anything like that, but it's like, hey, we're going outside, we're being bombarded by all these, the term would be electrosmog, but, people are
Yeah.
using different terms.
E-pollution. Pick it.
Like what does it matter? Like, why are you putting all this money into the space? I'm like, because that's the one space you're going to heal. And that's the
Yeah.
one place that you want to be able to separate yourself from. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyways.
And spend most of your time, and people are working from home. And I tell people some people, if you're really EHS hypersensitive,
Yeah.
and maybe being in an airport is too much for you. For most
Yeah.
of us, it's not in small doses,
Yeah.
right? And so you can visit the city and then have your 5G phone and do the things and
Yeah.
suffer from some toxicity from it, but
Yeah.
then get out of it, and less is better in toxicity, right? And then get to home where you're spending most of your time. We're robust. We are tough
Yeah.
creatures. We can
Yeah.
detox. We can do things like that. So you want a home where you're having as little, none ideally, but that's kind of hard to escape, as little as possible, so that you don't spend most of your state in a state of overexposure.
Exactly. And you don't have to be unhealthy, even though you don't feel it, even though you don't see it. You don't have to be unhealthy for the effects to actually eventually start to take their toll, because they're playing in the background.
Yeah.
So why not? Again, I was an elite Ironman and all these types of things. So my
Awesome.
goal as a biohacker was,
Yeah.
hey, I want to recover faster,
Yeah.
because I want to train more
Harder. Yeah.
and train harder, and I want to be on that podium, and that means I got to train a lot, right? So not the best thing, and I'm not condoning that here, promoting it. However, that was my point of view of creating this healthy environment. So yeah, I'm an athlete, but I'm
Right.
constantly breaking my body down. I'm constantly breaking that body down. And all of these exposures, and I have quite a story to share to that, but all of those exposures, they wear you down. And then, so whether you're sick, whether you're battling symptoms, or whether you're an athlete overtraining or whatever, these things are playing a big role in the background.
That's right. It's like people say, well, how dangerous are they? How bad are they for you? Well, not as bad as backing up into a whirling propeller. That's worse, right? That's immediately bad for you in a big way, right? But about processed food, you don't die the day you eat it, but you're not energized by it. You're not
Yeah.
energized by it.
Yeah.
Eating hot dogs, drinking too much booze, smoking cigarettes. These things don't kill you in the moment, but they
No.
break you down, and they don't add, right? They take away, and the sugar,
Yeah.
processed food and stuff, they
Not
take,
till it's too late. You hit 60 years old, you're like, oh man, I'm
and you feel
symptomatic.
like
Oh, well,
crap, and you're not
it's because it was
sleeping.
genetic, or, my
Yeah,
dad had this, or like, no, no.
no, no. And so if you're doing those things, then clean air and clean water and healthy food and EMF and dirty electricity and less exposure to the wireless kind, the 4G, 5G, direct TV, dish network,
Yeah. Radio
radio
frequencies.
frequency. We're just getting
Yeah.
bombarded.
Yeah.
No,
All
even though it
yours.
doesn't kill you in the second, it's bad for you. Let's just try to have a life where we can spend less time being overexposed to it. And
Yeah.
how you can intelligently argue that you're not healthier without that, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
And so when
Yeah.
people say it's not bad for you, that's not a conversation I'll have, because that conversation is below me, I think, at this point in where I am just in my learning. But they can
Mm-hmm.
say, how bad? Well, that's a conversation we can have. Yes,
Yeah.
it's bad for you, but is it really bad enough to be worried about? Well, that's a fair conversation. But to say
Yeah.
it's not bad for you at all, you can't see the grass under power lines. You don't know that cows don't bump into electric fences, not because people think that a cow hits the fence, it bites him, he doesn't like it, he learns. They're not that clever. Okay, they're not. It throws off a 4-foot field. That's why it only has to be one strand.
Yeah.
4 foot off the ground because
Yeah.
it puts out a field.
It's
He
out of
doesn't
field.
like it.
Yeah.
He moves out. No dairy cow has ever been hit by an electric fence. They hate it.
And just to add to that too, it's kind of like going back thousands of years ago, like in Rome, and like in all of these, when they're getting ready to create a new city or a village, right? They would let all their sheep and all of the animals roam out, and wherever they would gravitate to, that was where they would build any places that they would avoid. This kind of gets into a different perspective, but it's still ties a piece of the EMF from the DC, the Earth's magnetic fields, create these anomalies that are less desirable. So if the animals didn't gravitate to that area, there was weird formations with trees and things like that, that they knew that was areas to stay away from them.
Follow nature. One of those,
You
one
know?
of those is in Montana by Glacier Park, where the trees grow sideways and all that stuff. Those places exist,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
the reality is follow nature, and none of us inherently, just inherently, wants the power lines over your house. You just don't. You don't want the 5G tower on the roof of your house. You just don't. Mom said, don't sit too close to the TV. She was right. She wasn't an engineer. She had mom's tuition, which is
Yeah.
real, which is real. She was right, right? And so now we're as we biohack, as we're looking at peptides and nutrition and hormones and all the things that have really been depleted, I think nefariously really been depleted. We're looking at putting those things back. And as we look at putting nutrition in and healthy things in, I think our conversation is really about lessening then the overexposure to the man-made stuff. That's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. In the building biology world, they call it nature, where they say nature is the gold standard. I kind of stole that phrase. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
Because again, we're building, my methods of building is kind of, we're trying to mimic Mother Nature as much as possible. The EMF is, that's air quality for me is like a kind of like the number one. It's obviously good performance structure, then it's air quality, then EMF is it's third on my list. They're all big factors here. So, but when I look at it, that's the order. And if you don't mind, let's go into dirty electricity. But I want to kind of like, I want to set it up like this, and please, share your thoughts. This is just you and I kind of talking shop here. But so if I was to explain EMFs to somebody, I say, hey, electromagnetic frequencies is broken down into, this is me. I
Yeah.
break it down into 4 categories, and please
Okay.
just, interject or add anything. I start off with number one. It's the electrical field. It's that 110 power coming in, or 220, coming into the home, which gives us exposure. Our 60 hertz cycle gives us exposure to electricity. We're not, if you want power to your home, you're going to have that, right? But
Yeah.
it's an electrical field, so we wanted distance, like you said it right in the beginning. Don't sleep right next to an electrical outlet, because at in close proximity you're going to be exposed to a little bit of an AC magnetic field, but of course the electrical field. And because you said, we both agreed that we're 80% water, we're conductors, right? So if we're sleeping around all of these outlets, and I'm kind of painting a picture here for kind of towards the end, we can kind of bring this together. But basically, we're just exposed to these electrical fields, so it's like we're just buzzing, right? Is an electrical field bad for you? In my opinion, I haven't seen any research specifically that electric fields, other than it keeps the body from kind of getting to a place of relaxation or homeostasis. It's just the body's just absorbing this energy, right?
Right.
And I'll paint this out. So then the next one would be electrical AC magnetic fields,
Yes.
which is kind of like a, and again, you have a way more extensive background than me than electrical and engineering, but it's basically kind of the byproduct by, and you're going to have to correct me on this, because I'll say AC magnetic fields is a byproduct of the electrical fields coming in, whether it's from high tension power lines, whether it's from, mechanical devices in a home, a transformer, a refrigerator, anything that has a motor, wiring, the spacing of wiring or the routing of wiring does create a level of, it could be a minimal amount of AC magnetic fields, or it could be a pretty large field of AC magnetic fields, which is researched by the Bioinitiative Report, the World Health
Yeah.
Organization, to be like the silent killer. Um, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh yeah, this is my life's work, baby.
Yeah.
I do. So
And by the way, there's two more that I didn't get into, but I want to have you kind of go through. Hey, do you want me to share the next two, or do you want to kind of answer those two to start, and kind of that way it'll kind of set the groundwork?
I'm taking notes. So give me the next two.
Yeah. So then, of course, so we'll circle back on that, and then of course the third one, and I break them into three categories: is or excuse me, radio frequencies,
Yep.
right? So from cellular towers or radars or wireless devices, Bluetooth, 5G, 4G, 3G was pretty low level signal, all the way to the wireless, routers, baby monitors, wireless
Walkie talkies.
phones,
Pick it.
walkie-talkie, right? Like,
Yeah.
so these are all radio frequencies. Some put out a very high, high bandwidth, a very high strength. Some are lower power, but still put out high frequencies. And again, the simple remedy for that is to not have them, and we can talk about ways that we can control that. So that's radio frequencies. That's the third one. And then, of course, I put, dirty electricity is kind of like the fourth one for me, because it's the one that a lot of people don't quite understand as much. This dirty electricity. Well, what is it? It's the electrical magnetic interference, which creates like just harmonics and all of this noise. And it travels through the entire electrical system. It can affect the grounding system. Its sources are, the grid power coming in. It's also technologies throughout the home, throughout neighboring homes. So now, it's through the electrical system. Now it's basically the pipeline, the plumbing that allows all of this dirty electricity to flow into the home. And then, of course, all of the different technologies like AC power supplies and adapters and different technologies through the dimmers, through the home. Now they become these sources, or even these inverter these heat pumps, these inverter
Yep.
style heat pumps, right? So these different technologies that we're creating within the home, but yet we're feeding all of this dirty electrical magnetic interference into the home. So basically now we're swimming in this whole soup of this dirty electricity. So that's kind of my spill on these four forms of EMFs that I usually kind of explain to people on a high level.
I think this is going to be a great show. I don't know if anybody will watch it. A couple of nerds like me and you, but
God, I hope you guys are watching this. This is
this is
good
going to be
stuff.
it's going to be a great show because yeah, we're going to take those four in chunks. So as I move electricity down a conductor, um, energy in the form of alternating current, as you have voltage, and voltage makes it go from here to here. Voltage is pressure. Um, Electricity kind of works on a vacuum, right? It's low pressure pulls from high pressure, and that's voltage. And the voltage creates the electrical field. So even if I've got 120 volts, if I've only got like 0.001 amps, I have the electrical field because I have that potential, which is voltage, right? Voltage is potential. Number two, as I push current down it now, I use that voltage and current, that creates the magnetic field. And then you end up with this electromagnetic, right? And so that's the guy.
And
It's
it spins like it spins in what form? Like a clockwise or a counterclock, or is it a clockwise or counterclockwise form?
I don't remember in my mind it's
Okay.
clockwise, but it doesn't really travel down the wire. Actually, it travels around the wire. It's very odd.
Right, yeah, around the wire. But then you have your common and your hot wire,
Right. And so
right?
one goes this way, right? And then
Okay.
one goes this way.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And then those two are the convergence of the electric field and the magnetic field. And that's where you get the electromagnetic field, which is 3D now.
I love the visual. This is, guys, this is good because now we're creating the visual of this field.
Yeah, and then now we've got this field. So fields and frequencies are the cosmos. You would call it source, call it God, and care. Everything has a frequency and a vibration. And some are very healing. Some are very good for you because your body has one. Your body has a natural frequency. So if you hit your body with something that's in a natural frequency that rhymes with you, that's like music. Frequency together creates harmony, and harmony is music, and harmony is beautiful. Harmony is soothing. If they're out of frequency, that's noise. Noise is not calming. Noise is disruptive. It makes us anxious. It makes us angry or uptight, or you turn it down, right? Where music, you say, turn it up, right? Noise, you say, turn it down. It's the exact same thing, but the frequencies aren't in harmony. And like the Earth's frequency of Schumann is in harmony with all living creatures on Earth. Humans love to live by water. The vast majority of mankind lives by water. Well, part of that is by no doubt the ions in that positive Earth Schumann frequency. Okay. So as this energy moves in the form of a wave has two major fundamental qualities. Okay. The number one is energy, how much energy is in this wave. Number two, frequency. Frequency is very simple. How many times does something click in 1 minute? The more times it clicks in a minute, the higher the frequency. And the wave's energy, it's like this. If you've been to a lake and the ski boats go by, or it's kind of a windy day, those waves aren't very tall and they crash on the beach, and they crash pretty regularly. So they're low energy, but they're higher frequency. Now you're sitting on North Shore of Oahu. It's pipeline week. You're there to watch either Iron Man, or we're there to watch, Quicksilver's got the surfing championship. Those waves suck out. Like, it seems like a block, doesn't it? It can't possibly keep going out farther. You see all this sand, and then this huge wave comes and it crashes, and boy, howdy, if you're in that, God love you, right? So that has a lower frequency, but it has a higher energy. Okay. All right. So now you've got this alternating current, and it's going to have two things. Depending on how much current is going through it, that's how much energy. And then the electricity itself has a primary frequency of 60 hertz. Okay. So let's say I'm going to punch you on the arm. So I'm going to punch you on the arm. It has two aspects. How hard I punch you, or am I just tapping you? That's energy. And then how many times am I going to do it? Now, even if I do it pretty light, over time, you're going to go, back it up. It's going to start to bruise. It's going to start to be uncomfortable, right? Now, if I move that around, well, that's a massage, Brian. I'm charging $60 an hour for that, right? So what happens at night, number one, putting our head by the wall.
Yeah.
We're inside that field now. For one, it's hitting us at a frequency that isn't music. It's noise.
Yeah.
It's not ease, it's dis-ease, right? And I'm not moving, so it's hitting me in the same time over and over and over.
Okay.
So one of the things that we get almost immediately with either our plug-in filters that remove it all except for primary, it's still electrical frequency, still not super healthy, but not near as healthy, not near as unhealthy as the dirty electricity, the big and the terrible frequencies in multiple frequencies, right? And we put a piece of field shield behind the bed because, as you mentioned before, if you're water and a little bit of aluminum and mercury, you become the conductor. Now we know two things about electricity that we learned in 5th grade. And there's some good always and nevers. Electricity will follow the path of least resistance, and it'll make its way to ground. So our field shield plugs in or goes behind the bed and then plugs into ground. So now it's a much easier path of less resistance. It will always choose it. It will always choose the path of least resistance. It's no longer you. You're not really offering a path to ground. The field shield is plugged into ground. We've created a path of least resistance and a way to ground. It's always going to choose it over you.
Yeah.
Right. Number one. And so you can put your head now safely by the bed because the field that's coming out is landing on the field shield and going down. And just with our plug-in or wire-in units, you have two waves, the voltage wave and the amperage wave, two waves at 60 hertz. That's a frequency, and that's giving you a little punch, but nothing like when your home wiring becomes a super antenna. Where does power, where do fields and signals land? They land on antennas. So now you
Yep.
got 5G, 4G, 3G, LTE, Dish Network, DirecTV, your printer, my printer, her phone, the FBI van. You have all these signals now landing on the electrical system. It's noise, it's not music.
Yep.
It's not healing, it's damaging. And I'm going to stick my head in it now for 8 hours.
Yeah.
How could you possibly get good sleep like that?
All of these frequencies, these
All of
different
them.
frequencies. Yeah.
All of them. So, at a very simple term, static attempts its very best to just get you to the voltage and the amperage waves,
Yeah.
60 hertz,
Yeah.
one frequency. Europe's better at 50. 50 would be ideal, but do it at 60 hertz and then the one. You've gone from eating a full McDonald's lunch to having fry.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
You went from having
Yep.
a whole bottle of gin to one single gin and tonic.
Yeah.
Still perfect. It's not, but I think if you eat one fry on a road trip, it's a lot better than sitting down to a Happy Meal. Right?
And we're talking about all of the technologies that are affected. That's why you said all these different things. This printer, this, that, and the other.
Exactly.
Where the Satics, it's filtering that out just down
All
to bare that
bare minimum.
clean 60 hertz cycle that's delivering power into the home. And we'll talk about strategies even for eliminating that. But this is definitely,
And so that's 3 and 4. So
yeah,
number 3 is RF. It's coming from everywhere. Well,
right.
where's it landing? On antennas.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get you detoxed. Let's do a heavy metal detox for you, make you less of an antenna. And let's clean it off your wiring system, which is your antenna. And then let's turn some stuff off. For goodness sakes, turn your router off. Turn your Wi-Fi off. Now nobody wants to live in a cave. I'm not
Yeah.
moving to Oregon to compost my hair. I want my iPhone, but I use it intelligently. I don't stick it in my pocket, carry it on my body. And when I want to download or update, I turn it on. I download or update when I'm in the other room. I go in and I do it because you can have one fry on a road trip. But
Yeah.
you don't sit down and eat three Big Macs. It's different.
Now the shield, you're referring to your plug-in shield, right?
No, so we have two products. We have the filters that come in plug-in. Should have my toys here.
Yeah, we got to see the toys.
And wire in, baby.
Yeah,
That's the big
yeah,
flagship
yeah.
wiring.
Those are sweet.
But
Every home has to have one of those, by the way, everyone, when we complete this call.
everybody has to have when they complete the call. And here's our generation 1 plug-in going back 16 years. And he'll show up on a meter like this. We can do a really quick demonstration.
Yeah. We'll
Then
do.
we can't forget this trusty meter, old Mr. Trifield. This one's not even out of the package yet.
Yeah.
He
Hey, believe it or not, it's funny. I've tested the electrical field and the AC magnetic field on that TF2, and it actually measures pretty accurate compared to. It's not perfect, but it measures within range of like a professional $3,000 meter. Everyone, so
for the dough. So I don't. These are made in Utah by Alpha Labs. I love
yeah.
them. I worked with their old engineer Eugene on designing some other meters, and they're a great company. For the dough, it's close.
Oh, it's super close. The RF, this is my take, man. Just don't even waste your time with the RF function on that meter because it's just going to tell you that there's RF. Like it just bounces all over
It's
the
gonna
place.
go.
Anyways,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. That's all I
Hey,
can say.
it's
Yep.
here.
It's here. It's here.
When I have clients, they'll read, "Hey, I was using my TF2 and the R on the RF." No, use it for your electrical fields and your magnetic fields. Perfect. I have to, if I'm going to work with somebody remotely, you got to have the TF2 and you got to have those two settings. But
Yeah.
then I recommend the Safe and Sound Pro 2 by Safe Living Technologies to measure just the RF. But anyways, hey, the shield.
Yeah. So
I
then we make a
distracted you.
shield. This is a demo portion of it. And this is a 9-layer drip, 9-layer dip. So it is a 99.9% polished aluminum from the Alcoa company quality. And then it's a closed cell polyethylene foam, which is rubber. It's a resistor, right? And there's a reason for that because you want to build up that field. Then it's another sheet of aluminum, a conductor. And then we crush shungite. I get loads, kilos of beautiful shungite from
Mm,
Russia, and
mm.
we mix it into the famous YSF YHY field carbon paint.
Okay.
That paint in 5-gallon drums right from Germany. I ship it all over. We crush our shungite, and then we mix it into our Y Shield paint
Awesome.
with one more secret ingredient. And then we slather it on, baby. We paint it thick. And then we do another layer of this on top. And then it has to be grounded. So it has an alligator clip and then a male end that just plugs right into on your outlet. You've got your two blades in your ground, plug
Mm-hmm.
in the ground for secure fit. And now on this meter, buddy, it will go to 0.
Really?
Not 0.1. I can't wait to
Really?
give it to you. Yeah, Brian, not 0.1. Goes to 0. So then you put that where you need to sleep. And if you have a darn smart meter, then you put this on the wall opposite inside the
Yep.
opposite.
Yep.
A radiation doesn't turn corners. Radiation can only go straight. So it can't wrap around it. So you only need a piece about this big, and it completely blocks the smart meter from your home.
You could even put that behind some artwork or something, or and
Put
then
it
hang
behind a
out the,
Beatles poster if you're 19. Put it behind, yes,
it-
exactly correct. Yeah.
Is that, I just have to ask this for the audience here, is it low VOC, non-toxic, that shield?
You can eat it. You just pass it. You'd
Okay.
eat the same way it came in.
Okay.
We
No
don't
odors,
we
odorless,
don't
all
bind it.
that.
We don't
Okay.
bind it with glue. We bind it with heat.
Okay.
So
Okay.
plastic will melt, and so we just melt them together with heat, and it only takes about 125 degrees
Okay.
to get them warm enough. Yeah, so
Okay.
there's no
So it's a
solvent,
non-toxic
no
shield.
spray,
Okay.
there's no glue. It
Good.
is it
Okay.
is shungite, carbon paint, aluminum, and some polyethylene foam.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, it's an important question that people will ask.
Yeah,
Now, could you take this shield and put it behind your drywall? So if you're like
absolutely.
remodeling the home?
Absolutely. So the very first thing, so when we realized that living under power lines was hurting my son, the first thing that we did was get a very cheap version of this called Radiant Barrier, and that was the main development of this, which is just aluminum. Some have 2 and 3 pieces, but it's just aluminum. And we rolled it out in our attic, eave to eave, gable to gable, stapled it together, bound it together, and grounded it. And Brian, the minute we grounded it, the house was quiet for my little boy for the first time in
Really?
2 years we'd lived there. So for him, quiet meant no more tinnitus,
Yeah. Wow.
ringing in the ears,
Wow.
right? Less angst. It's like when something's in frequency, it's music. When something's out of frequency or harmony, it's noise. He wasn't constantly being bombarded with the noise, and so
Yeah.
it feels to people with EHS quieter and calmer. So we sell this less expensive versions in huge homes. If you want
Mm-hmm.
to do your attic, if you
Yep.
want to do your walls or whatever else, we sell it for as low as 75 cents a square foot
Okay.
in
That's
big
good to know.
applications. If you need rolls, if you're really trying to do the house.
So is it going to shield, like, so could you use it in place of like the G iron? You know, like, so a G iron, which is, it's like like kind of a lead, it's different alloys in this iron material that you would put behind your electrical panel. So say, for example, the architects did a bad design and you have a sub panel or you have an electrical panel next to your, in your sleeping area, next to your bed.
Right.
It's crazy. I still see that. And so one of the big workarounds that I do, I don't try to get into too much remodels, but we will use that G iron to block the AC magnetic fields. Will this help, or does that have any effect on like a strong AC magnetic field from an electrical panel?
So this is great for the electric field and the RF.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
For electric field and RF. Magnetic
Yeah.
fields are tougher. You got to get
Yeah.
some distance.
That's why that G irons,
Yeah.
it's some pretty heavy duty, expensive material, no doubt too.
Yeah.
So, but okay. So if you're, we'll kind of get into this a little bit later, but obviously, so we talk, we're 80% water, we're absorbing that electrical field, we're absorbing those frequencies. Say you take your TF2 and you're in a room and you measure, say it's a low, say it's a low E field and a low magnetic field. But again, if we were to do a body voltage test in that, that could show something completely different, because even though we have a low reading on our TF2, if we were to do body voltage, we could still be absorbing energy from other sources, the wiring in the wall.
Yeah.
I'm kind of splitting hairs on this, but it is a thing if we really want to get to that
Oh yeah, it's the
that
human antenna effect.
that quiet environment, right? So
Yeah.
if I was to use that shield in, say there's a room and it's just, again, it's not strong, but there's just this field that's airborne and it's raising my body voltage. I'm guessing that shield would reduce that.
Massively. So
Yeah.
when so so my brother and sister-in-law have been married 30 years since she was just out of high school and he was in college. She couldn't have children. So it is what it is. They've been together
Hmm.
5 years. They're happy. They have a great relationship. She comes home one day, and I don't mean to tell her secrets. She comes home at 40 and goes, "Guess what, you nerds? I'm pregnant." So hallelujah.
Yeah.
We're all old now, but we're gonna have a baby's coming.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing that we did in his house, in his room, is we did all the walls, pulled out the carpet. We did the floor. We did the walls,
Second story.
the ceiling, is second story.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yep. He's upstairs. Painted it with YF, HF shield paint from Germany, put up field shield, grounded it, and then did beautiful, hardwood flooring, re-sheetrocked, retaped and paint. And I'm telling you, that room is so clean. It's like a deprivation chamber. It is odd. It is oddly quiet. And you're
Yeah.
going to get a big 0 on everything in there. And the
Wow.
drapes that we used, I got some really good EMF, RF absorbing drapes that we
Okay.
used to cover it because you still want some light in the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And it is absolutely glorious. It was kind of expensive. We did the work ourselves, so it was probably about $600, but for the health of your kids,
Well, yeah,
$600,
that's a drop in the bucket,
it's nominal.
Yeah.
Nominal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll use like the radio mesh, like on a remodel, if
Yeah.
I measure high frequencies. The reason I use the radio mesh, and everyone just know your environment, because it's breathable. And so
Yeah.
is, being into building science and, building healthy, I'm always trying to breathe a high permeability,
Yeah.
breathable wall. If you use this material, you're going to want to use that carefully in that sense, because you're going to block any moisture.
Yeah. And so we actually perforate it. We do perforate it.
You do.
Yeah. Yeah. We have,
So you have a perm rating on that
yeah,
material.
they're making houses too tight these days.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
They need to breathe.
Yeah.
And so definitely on attics, you want it perforated because
Yeah.
steam, showers, noodles, life, you don't want to start trapping moisture.
Yeah.
Right? So our
Okay.
product comes in 2 versions, perforated and non-perforated.
Okay.
If you're
Yeah,
going to
like,
use a lot of it, you want to perforate.
yeah, right. Yeah. And you could use the non-perforated for an interior wall too. So, and I'll kind of share what I'll do because I build some pretty airtight homes, but kind of with a different twist. So you would use that for like an interior wall, like even for myself, because what we're doing is just to reduce that E field, if you will.
Yeah.
We're wiring homes tight anyways, and I'm not worried about AC magnetic fields from how we're wiring and doing all of our branch chain circuits and things like that. That's just, if you know how to wire, you're not going to have that kind of an issue, right? But you can't escape the electrical field, and you can't escape that dirty or that noise, that line noise, with the exception of using, a static filter, of course, and that's what I use on my construction, all my construction. But where was I going with this? What we were doing is we were putting a kill switch in for the bedroom just to kill that power. So you were literally in that quiet zone, what you're talking about. With this material, you wouldn't have to do the kill switch. So if we're wiring it properly, we're using the static filters, but we have this potential E field,
Yeah.
we could just have some of that material behind that wall and it's absorbing that. And so then therefore you don't need to do the kill switch.
You don't need to do the kill switch.
Yeah.
And where the kill switch is great for the wiring, the neighbor's router, the 5G tower, the 4G tower, all that stuff is still coming through.
Yeah.
This grabs all that too.
Yeah. 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 And now keep in mind, so this is great. This is good for everybody. Of course, like I went way far outside of the box as far as building, I'm building a 12-inch concrete wall
Wow.
on top of that, and so they've
Okay.
actually tested,
Okay.
the all of the millimeter wavelengths, and and it
Yeah.
and it penetrates through, I don't know, 9, 10 inches of the wall, and then eventually it
Love
dies
it.
off. So
Love it.
however, where you can't escape that E field without having like a kill switch. So I like the idea of like, behind at least one wall, maybe it's behind the headboard
Yeah.
wall where the
The
bed's
headboard
going,
wall. Yeah.
to strategically use that material. Because I want, how cool would it be? I mean, the kill switch is an easy thing, but hey, people want to have their lamps on at
A little
reading,
inconvenient.
whatever, they
It's a
want to be
little
able to hit a
inconvenient.
switch and turn it off,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Um,
We like to read in bed.
Hey, this is, which brings a good point too. So what if we have uh, lamps? We've got lamps on each end. They're plugged in. That still again helps reduce that field from that cord coming out to that lamp from the wall.
That's going to depend on two things, distance and your darn light bulb, because you're a lighting expert too.
Yeah, yeah,
One of the
okay.
biggest culprits is our lighting. Satic's first actual patent was on a ballast that we designed because everything was compact fluorescent then. And what a
Yeah,
terrible product.
yeah.
What a
Oh man.
diabolical.
Yeah,
From the incandescent bulb, that is an energy, they're a dirty electricity filter. A good incandescent bulb is a dirty electricity filter. So everyone naturally had 20 to 30 filters in their home, and they were
mm,
compact fluorescent with a half bridge and a ballast and 50 power factor. And boy, they got us good. They got us good with that one. And so one of the first things that we designed was a relatively clean CFL back in the day with perfect power factor and low THD and all that stuff.
right.
So,
Yes.
anyways, that's a long way to answer the
Yeah.
the
No.
lamp question, but lighting
Yeah.
selection is going to be another huge part of this building process. And
Yeah.
I'm tempted. I don't usually like to raise money. I like to operate debt free. There's two more patents that I'm working on right now that my team is working on. I have engineers that surpass me now. And some two new patents that we're working on, and we would love to open just a very traditional incandescent light bulb factory. Just get back to old
Mm.
school anode, cathode, tungsten filament in a vacuum with um, carbonite gas. They'll last 100 years. They'll last 100
Okay.
years. It should only be a few dollars each. And I don't know if the powers that be will let me do that. But that gets back to a lot of things that you talk about too, is at night, our body is like a warmer light,
Hmm.
right? At night, during the day, I actually love full spectrum during the day because I'm trying to match colors. If you're
Yeah. Yeah.
art or match things, there's a place for full spectrum light, and there's
Yeah,
a place.
incandescent light doesn't always just answer the question of like midday light,
Exactly. And
It
so
doesn't
blue gets
doesn't
this huge blue gets this huge bad rep right now. And actually, if you want to match your tie to your suit, you need some blue.
yeah.
It is what it is,
Yeah.
right? And the
Yeah.
rainbow proves that the sun is absolutely full spectrum.
Yeah.
Rainbow proves that, and it's got blue in it. It's simply that at night, we're used to being by a fire. I believe
Yeah,
we did not.
it's opposite right now with the
Yeah,
lighting. Yeah.
exactly. And they
And
got us on
and like
screens
you
and
said
stuff.
too, all these LED lights are, some of these, not all of them, and because I'm really big into this topic, but I won't go too deep in it onto the show. But some of these LED lights are again these sources that I was talking about with all the sturdy electricity, right?
Yeah,
And then you got them on top. Then you have them on a dimmer, which is
yeah.
putting out this dirty electricity, and then you have the flicker on top of the whole
And
thing,
they
right?
flicker on
Yeah.
purpose, a lot of them now to communicate. Did you know that?
That I
I
didn't
know.
know.
I
Like
don't want to.
communicate.
Yeah, they communicate. They absolutely do, and you can pass a lot of information very fast with flicker.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
flicker 60 times a second and give
Uh-huh.
massive amounts of data. No, the
Huh.
flickering is terrible. The flickering is not good for
Yeah.
you.
No, well, yeah, I was gonna say maybe I don't go too far down the rabbit hole because I found a system that I work with and actually even kind of help co-develop a package system of an LED, but it's a full spectrum system.
Cool.
you know, their diodes, their power supplies or linear power supplies, you would be pretty impressed. Like they don't
I'd
put
love to see
out,
it.
they
Send me one.
don't,
I
you know,
love it. Yeah.
you and I should really kind of talk about this.
Yeah.
You know, I talk about them all the time, color beam, but their power supplies, the yeah, all the technology. I'm just drawing a blank right now, but all of the technology, the drivers. That's
Yeah,
what I
the
was looking
driver. So
for.
what
Yeah,
happens is they make them in Asia. They
yeah,
make them built-in obsolescence. They build them to break. The cheapest driver, cheapest
yeah,
node, no
yeah,
filter in it. We get this terrible product.
yeah,
I've made light bulbs for years, as you know or don't know. I've made light bulbs for years, and it really came down to not bleeding edge science, using a better driver from Germany,
yeah.
a better diode, putting a small rectifier
There,
in there, putting
there
a
it
small
is.
capacitor in there,
Yep,
putting a
you know
static
it.
filter in there, and
Yeah,
now it's for years.
yeah, yeah. And so it was funny because when I came across them several years ago, there was this IT guy. He was very, very intelligent man, and he said, "Hey," he says, "I get you don't want flicker, and you want this full spectrum, and you want to be able to warm to dim, and all these things, and circadian, so on and so forth." And he says, "I work with this lighting company that seems to check the bill." He was a very intuitive guy. Anyways, did this job, got in there with all my meters, and I'm like, man, I hope this really works, you know, like, you know, because I wanted to give our client the best thing. And we, you
Of
know, I
course.
said, hey, I've never worked with this, but I think this is going to fit the bill, right? Man, dude, there was like nothing like measurable on an oscilloscope, and I was able to isolate these units,
Beautiful.
right? Like there was nothing, right? And I'm like, well, this is crazy. The flicker was like less than 1%. On the warm to dim on this chip, we could bring full spectrum in up to 680 nanometers, and there was a reason why they went that direction because
Okay.
they worked with circadian biologists and the activation of melatonin, serotonin. You know, like the
Yeah.
nanometer wavelengths between 350 and 680 is kind of where a lot of the big research is. I
Right.
get it. Incandescent goes beyond that, and you know we can go on to that another conversation. But
Right.
however, within this spectrum wavelength, it measured it like so we would tune it down. We would tune it like to like a sleep setting, if you will, right? And
Yeah.
it tuned down to 2200K, no
Okay.
blue with no blue spectrum in it. Okay.
Right.
Then
Okay.
we would turn it all the way up. It was 50. They didn't want to go too bright, so they went to 5500K
That's
Kelvin.
as bright as you need to go. So the
Oh
lights
man, it'll
we
blind
make
you.
are
You
25
know,
to 55. That's what we do. Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
so that 55 would actually then have just the right amount of blue and cayenne.
Yeah.
They even tweaked the blue and turned it more to a cayenne. And
Huh.
so to create this 95 plus CRI rated
Great
light
bulb.
system,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so anyways, I'm like, man, this is crazy. I said, hey, and this is going to blow you away. It's totally on a complete Cat 6 cable. The whole the switches, the wall switches, the light, everything is on a Cat 6 cable. It's not standard line voltage. The only standard line voltage is 120 amp circuit running a couple drivers that you can isolate and put a Satic filter in there just to kind of
Yeah.
clean up anything from that source, which there really isn't anyways. And then
Yeah.
everything BD runs Cat 6 cable completely. And I was like, so then we're not measuring any E fields. We're not measuring any
Oh, and the
magnetic
power that
fields.
it takes to run a diode is so much that even to put a light in our stuff, I've got to step it down just to run it. No, they just, 9 watts goes a long way
Yep,
in an
yep.
LED,
Yeah, and the way that they did the drivers too, like you could do some pretty long runs and stretches on however whatever they're doing in their technology with these drivers, and that's where like a lot of IT low voltage lighting guys like to install them because they can do these long home runs, you know, and they don't have to have all these drivers stacked on top of each other, so it minimizes the amount. But I went to them and I'm like, guys, I'm not measuring any E fields, magnetic fields, and they offer completely hardwired, so it doesn't have to operate on an RF signal, which
Yeah, no, you don't
a
want it
lot of
to.
these
Yeah,
Lutron fixtures do now, right?
they do.
Um, and there was no like dirty electricity. I'm like, this is crazy. So they said, no, no. I said, did you guys design a low EMF system this way? They're like, no. What's an EMF? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, guys, like, do you realize what you're sitting on here and no one promotes it like this?
So,
And
and we made low EMF lighting for forever. And really what it came down to is just clean electricity because the
yeah,
dirty electricity, the EMF is the result of the dirty
yes,
electricity. So if you don't have it in the beginning, then you don't have it.
yep,
And they just weren't looking for it there. but by doing something one way, they got the result, not even looking for it.
And the reason why they did it was because they were doing a lot of recording studios, or
You got it.
a place where there was a lot of
Yep.
audio equipment, so they couldn't have it from. Wonder why electrical
Yeah.
magnetic interference.
So we sell a lot of commercial stuff. My best commercial clients are LED sales guys, because an LED sales guys goes to a casino, car dealership, outdoor pergola for a restaurant, and they say, "Hey, your lighting's old. It's ugly. It's not as pretty as it could be. It's antiquated, and it's cost you a lot of money." So the first thing they'll do is going to make it beautiful. Your car lot's going to stand out. Your casino's going to stand out. Your
Yeah,
restaurant's going to stand out.
yeah,
They say, "No, it's ghastly expensive to start off, but
yeah,
two things: it's going to last a long time,
yeah,
and it's going to save you money on the bill." Now, if those LEDs get clean power, they'll last for decades. But the opposite side is they're so incredibly sensitive to dirty electricity. If they get dirty electricity, they'll fail immediately. Now, the LED rep that just got a $250,000 deal looks like a ding dong and has to replace them. And if he
yeah.
doesn't filter the power, he'll be replacing them forever. So
There you go.
we have 50-year-old LED companies that won't put in LEDs over that 50,000 to 100,000. Projects bigger than that, they won't do it without static power conditioners, because
Yeah.
we're their insurance.
So that I think that's a good segue into. Let's get right into, to me, one of your favorite technologies, and that's the perfect power box.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's perfect, right? Because here we're talking about burning out, LEDs and equipment, and what this conditioning box is really doing. You
Yeah.
know.
Let's go there. So it's a filter. And so when I tell people all the time, there's nothing bleeding edge in it. I'm not that smart. It's not Tartarian. I'm not that smart. It's not that good, right? What it is we really made a list of the things that we wanted to avoid, just like your LED guys.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about electromagnetic interference,
Mm-hmm.
magnetic distortion, harmonics, these kind of things. So here's what we got that we want within a parameter. We want volts, amps, the product, which is watts,
Yep.
total harmonic distortion,
Yep.
electromagnetic interference, electromagnetic fields, crosstalk or distortion, power
Mm-hmm.
factor, Ohm's law of primary frequency, Ohm's law of resistance, and primary frequency. It's the nine. It's the nine things that you
Okay.
can do something with. And so we found products like I found Stetzer making EMF stuff, and I immediately reached out to him and wanted to make it better. And he didn't want to have anything to do with me. And I didn't set out to build an industry. And I went to Gene at Greenwave and I said, "Gene, if you'd let me, I would redesign this. I would do this and that." Gene was actually smart enough to do it. Gene's products, the Greenwave is better than the Stetzer. He made two improvements that I begged him to do, and he did it. With the Satic unit, we said, well, these things create power factor, and capacitors actually hurt power factor. They help it to about this much, and then they start to hurt it. And so putting in too many
Right.
creates an
Yep.
electromagnetic field. Now you're leading voltage. You do not want 30 filters in your house.
People take
Again,
note of this. Take note of this. Yes.
you're
This is
you
really
you
important.
you've gone from power factor to lagging to unity, where ours try to get you to power factor leading, and now everything's gonna your phone is gonna charge hot and slow. Your light bulbs aren't going to last as long. You don't want that many, and you're creating these little nodes of EMF, right? So
Can it also too increase electrical magnetic frequencies as too, right?
yeah, in the fields, it has to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you want to get the right size of those, right? So we wanted something that would maintain primary frequency, lower amperage, improve power factor, reduce Ohm's law of resistance, and just nobody made it all in one cool thing, number one. And some guys that made parts of it didn't make it as well as they could make it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing it to get rich. I was doing it to help my little kid. So I wasn't going to do it shitty. Sorry, I didn't mean I said a naughty word or a thing. I wasn't going to do it poorly. I wasn't going to intentionally make it poorly. It didn't make any
Yeah.
sense. Right? So
All right. We'll give them a minute. I hope everyone wrote these 9 steps down because this was pretty cool. This is really the magic behind this right here.
Yeah, we had to go completely different. And
Those are the internals of the filter, right?
yes. So what we
What were you showing us on those just for fun? I saw a bunch of things in there, like, and I
yeah,
know maybe some people are like, "Ah, I don't need to see it," but
my engineers get
you
mad
know,
when I show too many, but it took different component sets to do
uh-huh,
each of these things. And we wanted to do two things. We wanted to treat all 9, and we wanted to do them with really great component sets in the best way that we could. And then getting them to play together because they didn't always want to play together, and
yeah,
building in some redundance. So let's say you have something in its capacitor base, and that's fine, and it has one capacitor. Well, and it came from China. Well, what are the chances that 1 in 5,000 is a little funky? Almost guarantee it. Would it not be? What number is one funky? But you only have one. Well, yours is funky. And let's say it lives a really hard life and it only has one, and one fails. And now one fails. Now what do you have? None. Well, we have 8 filters.
yeah,
We don't just do the other filters, not to talk trash. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I give those men credit for helping me leap from where I am. But that's only getting the amperage wave.
yeah.
We have a voltage wave. And so we're only treating half of it anyway. And so we're treating 2 aspects of the 9 on one wave. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to treat all 9
Yeah.
on
That's
both
incredible.
waves.
Yeah.
And then here's something else that is part of our trademark and our secret sauce. In your home, you have 3 pathways. Now we have at our breaker panel, AB, 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 AB down.
Yep.
We have A to neutral, which is half of our outlets.
Yep.
120 volt system. Then we've got B to neutral, should be the other half of our outlets.
Yeah.
120 volt system.
Yeah.
Well, then we have A to B. That's our dryer. That's our range. That's our air conditions. That's those other things. So in the static unit, when I held this guy up, you'll see there are 3, 1, 2, 3
Yep.
circuit boards in there. And the way they're wired is one is red to white, A to neutral, totally independent system.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second one's black to white, B to neutral, totally independent. And then the third one is A to B, black to red. That's the 240, totally independent system. So we treat every possible attribute on every possible pathway on both waves.
I'm not an electrician, but forgive me, man. Is this helping kind of balance the loads? Because I know we always want to balance our loads, And
Yeah.
if the load isn't balanced, is this kind of helping balance that out?
No, it will not take something that's on A and put it on B. It won't do
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
It does filter all the loads and lower the big loads. So
Okay.
where the big loads are usually A and B, right? The big loads are 240.
Yeah.
They're the dryer,
Right. Okay.
range, your air conditioner. That's your bill,
Yeah.
right? What
Yeah.
it does is it will harmonize those and lower those. So if it will lower those, then if you're out of balance, then you've helped that a little bit.
Man, you just brought on, okay, harmonize. That's actually really good because everybody's into these harmonizers. Hey, hold on, I gotta, darn it, somebody was trying to call. But I just don't buy into it. And I'm into the geeky stuff. I've got the
Yeah.
Lila Q, the quantum stuff, and
We
all
all
these
do.
things, but hey, I need to know the harmonizer's actually physically doing something. And so I think you brought in kind of an interesting piece right there about how you're harmonizing that through technology, though.
Yeah.
A quantifiable way of harmonizing
So we've
something.
all got the sticker on our phone. I've tested 11 of them. We all wear the Q-Link and do the stuff.
Yeah.
We have a really nice advanced engineering lab here. My guys have PhDs from MIT and UW. I got physicists with PhDs in physics as well. We can't really see a result in most of those products.
Yeah, you can't really measure it.
My lips didn't say they don't work. I didn't say that.
That's not what we're saying. I'm with you.
Can't measure it. I can't prove it. And so you're really going on hope where when you put up your T2 and then you put up this, it goes to 0.
Yeah.
I'm seeing something, and I can put it on electric, magnetic, RF, weighted, and I can see it. That
Yep.
means so much to me
Yes.
as a
Yeah.
person,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to be a sincere person, bring something to market and consume for myself something that works. When we get in the huge buckets of shungite and start to pestle and mortar it down, we put it through tons of tests. We test all of it before we put it in.
Mm-hmm.
All of these circuit boards, we have 7 UL listings. Everything is tested for safety,
Yeah.
efficacy, and all that stuff before it goes out. And so I can't imagine selling or producing something that you can't read it at all.
Somebody will, it kind of blows my mind. I believe in these things, but again, I tell a lot of these manufacturers who I'm close friends with, I'm like, okay, it does all this, but it doesn't mean I'm going to live in a moldy house. It doesn't mean that I'm going to live under a power line. Are you kidding me? I don't care if it mitigates, neutralizes, harmonizes my frequencies. I'll tell you what, I'm going to build a healthy home that's going to negate all of these types of things, right? And somebody, and say it's $1,000 technology that can do these things, okay? Somebody will pay me $1 million over $1,000 to build them a healthy home because it's quantifiable,
Right.
you
And
know?
I don't want to be a boastful person because it's not attractive and it's certainly not my spirit, but I'm passionate and I love how our things test. Like I didn't know the beautiful compliments that you started from the Built Institute of Building Biology. I didn't
Yeah.
know. And so I love
I can't believe you don't know that, you know? When you said, "Hey, you're, standing with the giants and all," like, just so you know, like, in my point of view, from what I've seen, being in the biohacking world, now being in the EMRS world, of building biology, right? Those are kind of the two big advocates of
it.
a lot of these technologies, and you're number one.
Wow.
You are number one, and I love that you're speaking and kind of breaking all this down. Everybody that's going to watch is there's a lot of takeaway in here. I don't want to close out yet on that filter because we were talking about conditioning. You're talking about even harmonizing,
Yeah.
that's going to save. So just kind of just high level at this point now, like as far as like the EMF perspective, but also too how it benefits our physiology, our biology, and of course the equipment,
Yeah.
refrigerators and HVAC equipment and all those different types of things.
So they are building in obsolescence. Appliances don't last like they used to. Now, some of that might be nefarious built-in obsolescence. Other things is they all have chips. Everything's got a circuit board and a chip. I
Yeah,
challenge you, can't find a toy that doesn't have a circuit board and a
yeah,
chip now. And
yeah,
these things are just naturally by their design. Two things. Number one, more susceptible to dirty electricity, and they're also a culprit. So things that increase dirty electricity, EMF, etc., we kind of interpret, we call them culprits, right? And so the first thing you want to do is get rid of culprits. That's your whole ethos. That's your whole thing.
yeah,
What's it better? Is it better to put a filter on a cigarette or stop smoking?
yeah,
Stop smoking is the
yeah,
superior way to go. And so what you're doing is you're saying, let's eliminate as many of the culprits as we can.
yeah,
Now we have to realize too that we live in a modern world
yep,
and we
mm-hmm,
need to be connected and we want
yep,
cold air,
yeah.
and we want hot air, and we want hot water and all these
We
things.
want perfect climate, man. We want our wireless internet. We want everything. Okay.
We do. And so if you want to live in that world, that's great. Let's add a few more technologies that really aren't that expensive. Our flagship product is $1,895. It's made in America. It's made with care. It's really robust at 300 volts, even though it's only going to see 240.
Yeah,
It's totally specced out in UL to 300 volts. It's got a 25-year warranty. If it fails, if you know our company, we ship you a new one. We
yeah,
argue
yeah,
with you. It is what it is. It
yeah,
probably took a big surge and then gave its life for your stuff.
yeah,
That's why you bought it. That's one of the reasons. And so,
yeah,
out the new one goes. And it's really about, when you talk about harmonizing, petting a cat, man, or your dog or something, when that calming sensation of having that little purring thing or that happy little dog, you have an exchange of electrons, right? You have an exchange of energy and you have an exchange of frequency. What's happening in the modern electrified world is, just as you said wisely, it's coming over the power line. We're making it with our stuff, and then it's acting as an antenna and all these wireless things are getting it. And so what's happening is we're ending up with what I'll just call noise, just electrical noise and frequency and waves that are they're not in tune, baby. They are not playing in tune. So what the Satic products do to the best of their ability is remove as many of those as they can, get it as quiet and as harmonized for you. What they do is our products soak it in like a sponge, they harmonize it, and then they put out that
there it is.
frequency.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it'll save your equipment. So
save your equipment because your stuff's going to last longer. It's going to run cooler. Your phone is going to charge cooler. Like I don't know if dirty electricity is real. Every once in a while, your phone charges super slow and gets hot, and the little thing that plugs in gets hot. Everyone's experienced it, but it doesn't do it every time. Well, if it did it every time, then it would be normal. Since it doesn't do it every time, it's not normal. That's not what I'm saying is true. You've seen it. You've held it.
A lot of people, talk about the lights flickering, and I'm not talking flicker from the light bulb, right? We're talking,
the air conditioner comes on. Something, the lights dim for a second.
So there's a lot of, some depending on the power companies, right? You could be getting a lot of disturbance or turbulence, and or things going on through that electrical system. So for me, it's like a no-brainer on every one of my builds. We use the box, and then of course as an EMR, the perfect box, right? Power box. Then I'll take a meter after they plug all their technologies in. I'll just make sure our lighting systems, then we'll start doing the plug-in filters. Just that point source, but very strategically. Maybe and we're talking just fine tuning because we've already built a low EMF environment already. Okay, now we're just kind of making the tweaks. Now that we've brought the technologies into the homes, even LG on a heat pump, they might make a change in their circuit board, from one model to the next. You don't know, So that's why it's always good, to really go in there and fine tune. So definitely, bring in. This is just my 2 cents on it. Bring in a building biologist or somebody that really understands like what you and I are talking about before you go in there and just start making random recommendations and just plugging things in through the house and really have an understanding of what it is that we're filtering, solar, just one quick piece here. I know we're kind of running out of time here, but the solar, hey, I know that's one of your backgrounds too, right? For me, the research, and this is great to have a little bit of back and forth on this. This is a big piece.
This is important.
So I'm pro solar, by the way. And a lot of people are like, "What? What are you talking about?" My focus is on the inverters, not the solar equipment. And so there's kind of like this understanding that solar is on the top of your roof or emitting radiation, and it's dumping all of this harmonics, if you will, onto the DC side, then coupling onto the AC side. I see it as the inverters. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So the vast majority of the units that go out here that leave on pallets go to solar companies that install our unit with everyone they do. We are the largest solar panel installer in Western Montana, and we will not put solar on a house in 3 things. Number one, we really try to avoid putting it over the actual bedroom area. The living room or the garage, even if it's not the best spot for the sun, if it's still going to work, that's the superior place for it because you are going to create a field. Number one. Number two, ground it with extra cabling and go right down to a.
You're creating a field from the panel itself?
Just whenever you're moving that kind of current.
Okay.
Right. So even if it's DC, by the time that you get to the 4th or 5th panel, you're at 500 volts.
Right? Even DC.
Yeah, you can use a string inverter or a microinverter. DC, it builds up fast, right? So really be grounded and tie that to a ground that's really isolated, safely code to a ground where we're not actually accidentally affecting our electrical system. Then you have to have a static filter and you have to have field shield, or I wouldn't do it. I'm just telling you, I wouldn't do it. When you go
I know a
Two
lot of
things.
people that just wouldn't do it anyways, but
Yeah,
I want to give hope that you strategically, again, I'm an advocate, so it's okay if you
yeah,
call me out too, because
yeah.
it's strategically how we do the solar. That's kind of what I
Strategically, how you
wanted.
do the solar,
Yeah,
because we know what we're looking for. We're
yeah,
not lost in Lululand drinking our own Kool-Aid. We know what we're looking for, and we just know that we want it at zero. As
yeah,
long as we can get it to zero, well, then that's okay, right? Because I didn't
yeah,
say flush your cell phone down the toilet. I just said use it intelligently, right?
yeah,
So when you go solar, unless you're off grid, you're getting a net meter. You're getting a friggin' net. You're getting a smart meter. So you got to just think about that for a minute. That you're going to want to put field shield or something on the opposite side of that dang smart meter because you've put an RF tower on the side of your house. This will block it. Next, um, inverters make dirty electricity by the
mm-hmm,
definition of dirty electricity. So
yeah,
alternating current moves in a wave, right? And it moves in a wave. DC has no wave. So all an inverter does is turn it on and turn it off, turn it on and turn it off. And then that makes a wave, the
yeah,
ugliest wave on the planet. So what static does is it takes all that power from both the panels, the inverters, and the grid, saturates out, harmonizes it, and then gives you that clean power.
yeah, yeah.
There are a lot of, not a lot, there are several jurisdictions, one that I know of in Texas, that had on the ballot that you cannot install solar without some kind of a dirty electricity or
Some Okay, or qualified low THD inverter systems,
yeah,
because that's
low,
kind of what I was going to share next too. Was been testing these different inverters, right?
yeah,
Some are just off the charts, screaming. Versus like I've measured a couple. I'll share. It was Savant and inverters
okay.
was actually pretty low. SMD, am I saying that? Or
SMA,
yeah, yeah, thank you.
SMA, Sunny Boy, yeah,
SMA, and then the micro inverters.
yeah.
There's
So
one other one that
that's
actually,
that's what we usually use. We usually
oh,
use microinverters,
okay,
run it all through filters. And
yep,
I just tell people all the time, even if you're going to get the best inverter for low THD and EMF, still add a static filter.
yeah, for sure, yeah, that's
Still,
that's a given, for
and
sure,
then if you're thoughtful, you can have both. A lot of our customers get new roofs. Like when you're going to go solar, if you're going to get a roof, that's when you do a roof,
yeah,
right? Because if structurally you need it, you could use the tax credit for it for a while
yeah,
anyway. And if you're going to have five guys on your roof for a week and inspectors and permitters, do it then. When we do it then, we do the field shield over the area that's going
yeah,
to have the solar. Then
okay,
do the roofing in the standing seam metal or
okay.
the asphalt shingle. But we've already done this and grounded
Are
it.
you putting that over like your plywood or
Yeah.
your sheeting?
Do your decking and your
Okay,
tar paper, and then do your field shield and your roofing.
perfect. That's a huge takeaway.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we're getting ready to do on the 20 homes that I'm getting ready to build. I could go off the grid if I wanted to. I don't think I'm going to do I think I'm not going to go off the grid on this one.
A lot of work.
I just don't there's just a lot of stuff I don't understand, all of the politics and the permitting, and as soon as you're tying in, and then if you're trying to use tax credits versus if you're trying to use your own solar, you create your own solar farm,
Yeah.
there's
Microgrid.
yeah, your own microgrid. There's just a lot into it. I'm like, you know what? It's a lot to build a healthy home, and I just want to stay focused on that, because we're getting ready to build 20 homes of the future.
I love it.
Yeah, this BD, this is going to be fantastic,
Let's work together. I want you to build mine.
So yeah, yeah. Well, that's what. So I do a lot of consulting too, right? So I have a program and I have a system with all vetted materials, vetted protocols, vetted manufacturers, and then a whole list of things to basically be pre-qualifying all of your trades and your subs and your general contractor,
Okay.
embedding everything into the architectural design So by the time we do all of our engineering, whether it's, mechanicals or, structural things like that, all of the techniques, building a healthy home are in the plans. It's there, it's done. So when we go out to bid, it's a little bit more straightforward. Yeah, sure, we might have the electricians going, hey, can you explain this power filter or, whatever, that's like,
Yeah.
absolutely, then we explain it to the electrician, their minds are blowing and they're never going to go back to, doing an electrical system without a static filter,
I love it.
you know? So
I love it.
yeah, yeah.
An hour and a half. I think we did. I really enjoyed talking to you. If one person watches or 1,000, you're fun to talk to. You're a smart, compelling human being.
BD, man, same to you. Thanks for actually like I need to hear this information over, the highlights of the breakdown of the EMFs, right? The breakdown of, and by the way, the shield. I need to go back into understanding more on that shield because I wasn't promoting it,
Yeah.
and really want to promote that shield product.
Okay.
I think that's fantastic, and then understanding the breakdown of really what's in that filter and what really sets it apart. And then, for me, the highlight is, hey, we can design solar systems that are clean,
Yeah.
and I really want that to be a takeaway because it's a controversial issue right now.
It is. And
So,
solar's in a shakeup right now. And I think solar is going to be done a lot better than it was in the past.
yeah,
The margins are tighter now. And so I think it'll get rid of some of the people that weren't as careful. And I think that we'll see a lot more home building like you're doing. And I
yeah,
applaud, and I'm your partner in that. And
you
I
got
think
it.
more solar companies will start adding this because the reality is the reality and the truth is coming out.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, this was so cool. And hey, we got to host each other. So, um, hey, I'm telling you, Satic is way more well known than Synergy 360. I've been up and coming over the last 5 years as far as being a healthy home builder because what was building a healthy home? What does that look like? But now,
Yeah.
even in the last 2 years, we got a lot of consultants. We have a lot of advocacy out there. There's a lot of education. So, it's simple to find me. It's synergy360.com. And of course, my handle Synergy360 on Instagram. And then, of course, Satic, man. Like,
AddictShield.com. That's it.
yeah, yeah. Awesome, BD.
Well, I'm in your corner.
All
Thank you for
right.
the time.
You got it.
All right. Talk soon.
Talk soon.